What's up everyone, Art at Patience Metal Fab, and I'm out in the shop with Max today to start a new episode on the Renault Turbo 2. Now a couple videos ago, we did a highlight on the exhaust manifold and anti-lag system, and you guys really enjoyed that one. So I figured in this one, we'd focus on another large, really cool piece, which is the shifter and hydro e-brake setup. What is all of this? Can you break it down and tell us why we had to go to this extent?
Yeah, for sure. So first and foremost, getting the shifter position up higher was kind of the catalyst for all of this. We knew that that was too sloppy from the get-go, but also in his racing position, that handle was down another 6 inches or so. So getting the handle up higher, closer to his steering wheel position, is definitely what we wanted to do. Also incorporating the handbrake into position, and with how sloppy the OEM system is, it just wouldn't be conducive to working in such tight spaces. That being said, building the bracket system and the mount for all of it was obviously necessary, given that this didn't have a pre-existing mount. So coming up off the floor, making sure that our cables were happy trajectory wise all the way out the back, and then being up high enough for both systems to work independently was the ultimate goal.
Speaking of the cable system, this is definitely an upgrade over the OE rod essentially. Can you break down why we switched this and what the benefit is?
Yeah, so old school style, that ran underneath the car, and it being a rally car, it being a race car, we kind of wanted to keep everything as inboard as possible. So the cables run through the actual inside of the interior and then pass through the rear firewall somewhere around here. They also make sure that you can kind of weave and dodge around inside of all your spaces, and everything's still happy. It doesn't have to be specifically routed, anything like that.
So these are custom pieces here. I saw you working on those, and obviously this rear bracket is fully custom. Can you show us what exactly this does?
Yes, I can. It bolts to the case, and then it uses a bell crank style system to operate our gear selector.
Obviously we still have to tear this apart, send it off to powder coat, and then do final install in the car. Right now I'm going to go to the fabrication process to show you how we got to this point, and then by the end of this episode you'll see it equipped and shifting inside the car. What's up, Max?
What's going on?
Nothing much. I wanted to take a break and explain what we've got going on here. I got some footage of you making it, but what exactly is this? And maybe you could break down what this whole setup is before we end the video.
Yeah, essentially what we got going on here is our intake and our filter shroud. So what we're going to do is sort of utilize some of the holes and the vents that we've got in the fenders that cover up right here, and then pull some air through here up for the filter so that the filter is not placed inside the hot engine bay, sucking all that hot air from the cooler, from the air that's already in there. So essentially what it'll do is the air will pass underneath here, kind of up through this cavity, and then pack in here for the filter and have a little bit of overflow if needs be. So essentially the other side too is having a little bit of an air gap between the two to keep these separated in case for any reason the heat decides to transfer into here. It's not going to affect the way that the air flows or the way that the air gets into the intake itself. So
yeah, it turned out really good, and especially it looks like you added some rigidity on the bottom, so really solid unit. And then obviously the over fender goes on top of it and a little vent, so you don't even really see any of this once it's all together.
Right.
But it looks great with the fender off.
yep, yeah, exactly.
Now the other thing that you guys saw in the video is the shifter setup. That's all done. We had Brian in here to kind of size him up for everything, and he fits awesome in this car despite being a really tall guy in a really small car. The next big thing on the interior, as you can see from these little dots, we've been 3D scanning the dash, and we're gonna be doing something really cool with that. I don't have all the details quite yet, but it sounds like we're gonna be using our shop saver table to be able to cut out a mold and then do maybe a carbon, real carbon, not just an overlay dash on here. So that's probably going to be in the next episode as we start discussing the details of what that's going to look like. And then eventually, what are the next steps with engine and trans?
Engine and trans are finishing up a little bit of plumbing, running some lines, getting some things mounted like throttle cable, things like that. And then they will be ready to come out and get sent out to a machine shop to have the motor built and the transmission ran through. I'm pretty sure that Brian has a set of straight cut gears for the transmission as well, so this will be upgraded along with the motor. The motor is going to basically be modernized with all the modern sensors and everything so that it can be ran on a standalone itself versus any sort of old school engine management system that was used back in the 80s. So we're bringing it up to modern standards to use modern technology and be able to utilize all that stuff for the anti-lake system and the electric wastegate, just like we'd be able to do on any modern car. So.
And that's really awesome. It's got me excited to see this car getting finished up. The engine and trans are going to be going out this week, and then we're going to go crazy on the last bits of the body modification. Like Max mentioned, the PDM is going to get mounted, and then when everything comes back, we could do a custom wiring job on it, and then we've got potentially a running, driving car soon after that. Yep. Then eventually body and paint, get this thing wrapped up in a race livery. So the end is in sight. It still won't be for months, but we can really envision what this project is going to become. Now, if you guys are enjoying the series so far, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the page, stay tuned for much more progress on this thing.